Oral questions by members.
Member for Surrey South.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Last night, the lack of new schools and increasing numbers of portables came up unnoticed in Surrey City Council because the community is very concerned with the crisis situation in School District 36, and they're concerned that it will impede the city's ability to build new homes and to help tackle the housing affordability crisis. The Premier's spectacular failure to deliver for Surrey parents has left 10,000 students to languish in portables. In fact, families in Surrey are now getting the opposite of what the NDP promised. There isn't even room for more portables on school grounds. The NDP promised portable-free schools by 2020, but instead, they've given Surrey the absurdity of double-decker portables, Mr. Speaker. So a simple question for the Premier: will the NDP ever keep their promise to eliminate Surrey portables, and if so, when?
Government House Leader.
Thank you so much, Honourable Speaker, and really appreciate the newfound interest from the opposition on education funding and investments in schools, Honourable Speaker. Really appreciate it. It certainly wasn't the case. Certainly wasn't the case, Honourable Speaker, when they were on this side of the House, Honourable Speaker. It was not the case. But I appreciate the time in opposition.
Members.
I appreciate the time in opposition has changed their views on investments in education and in schools, Honourable Speaker. Now, the member asked the question, and the member wasn't here, but many of her colleagues were. She'll know that when the leader of the opposition was the Minister of Finance, he gave zeros for 4 years as Minister of Finance for budgets for capital for schools in Surrey. Zeros, Honourable Speaker. The last 4 years.
Members.
Oh.
Members will come to order.
Oh.
Hold it. That's enough, members.
Time.
Members will come to order. Please. Minister.
Honourable Speaker, I appreciate the other former Minister of Finance saying it was only 2 years under him. It was 2 years under me. So I appreciate him highlighting that he was part of this challenge as well. Honourable Speaker, when we formed government, there was 8,000 students' seats that were needed in Surrey. The last 4 years of their government, there was actually 0 schools being built in Surrey, Honourable Speaker. What we... Oh, yeah.
Members, let's hear the answer, please. You can respond to that later. Let's hear the answer first.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. I think it's important to note that we had a Supreme Court decision that came down because of the rights that they stripped away from teachers that came in, which meant we needed more additional seats above and beyond what we had already projected that we needed, the shortfall. We also have seen 250,000 people come to British Columbia, and many of those people are coming to Surrey. So we acknowledge that the demand is there and it's growing, and we welcome people all across British Columbia. But, Honourable Speaker, 10,000 seats is what we're delivering as a government. 10,000 seats in the city of Surrey, not in the province, city of Surrey, Honourable Speaker. And in fact, Honourable Speaker, the member asked questions, and she knows that there's a brand new elementary school that we've announced that's coming in her community as well. And so, Honourable Speaker, significant investments are being made, and we're going to continue to make more investments.
Okay. Surrey South supplemental.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Well, unlike the current government, which actually cut funding to learners with disabilities like dyslexia, I can assure you that the budget actually went up overall under the previous government. In fact, I'd also like to remind the government that actually...
Members, let's hear the question, please. Please continue.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. In fact, the previous government started 6 new schools. 8 additions and opened 6,700 new seats. And while the NDP continue to make excuses for double-decker portables, we actually cut the number of portables by 100 from what they had left. From what this NDP government had left in the 1990s, and we built, of course, new schools like Grandview Heights and the Salish Secondary. The NDP promises, and this is a quote, a total removal of these portables over the course.
Members.
They don't like the facts, Honourable Speaker, but this is a quote. This is a direct quote, Honourable Speaker. A total removal of these portables over the course of the next 4 years, end quote. And I'm sorry if it hurts your feelings, but it was a clear promise and timeline. Yet, as with other issues, a huge chasm between the Premier's rhetoric and their terrible results. Results that include a $17.5 million that the school district has now been forced to pay for portables that were supposed to be eliminated, and now double-decker portables. I'll ask again because the question really wasn't answered. Has the Premier utterly abandoned his promise to eliminate portables in Surrey? And if not, what are the revised timelines?
Government House Leader.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, and I do find it interesting that the opposition puts the newest member up to ask questions, because the rest of them that were here know what their history and their record is.
Members, cut it down, please. Both sides. Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. I can see everybody. You don't have to tell me. Okay? Shh. Minister will continue.
Thank you so much. I appear to have hit a soft spot there, Honourable Speaker. I will say that a member mentioned a couple things. I think it's important for the member to know, perhaps you can talk to the colleagues around, they actually cut adult basic education when they were in government. They actually made cuts to it. And I appreciate the member wasn't here for that, but her colleagues around her can tell her. Honourable Speaker, not only are we investing in schools, Honourable Speaker.
Members. We are wasting time here, guys. Please continue.
Honourable Speaker, not only are we already investing 10,000 new seats, so above the 8,000, also for growth, we know there needs to be more. But, Honourable Speaker, it's not just the structures that we need. We also need to invest in the classrooms, in our educators. 24% increase in funding per student since we formed government. 24% increase. We value the education system, we value the structures, but we also value, very importantly, the teachers, the educators in the classrooms. That's why we make the investments we have been making. We're going to continue to invest in Surrey and communities around the province.
Member for West Vancouver, Capilano.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, although the minister likes to avoid the actual question, I will bring it back to the completely failed promise by the NDP to deliver or to eliminate portables. Now, you would expect the Premier and his government to display at least some embarrassment for so brazenly betraying their promises to families. And it's not just Surrey, Mr. Speaker, getting the NDP's double-decker portables. Here's what Souk School Board Chair Ravi Parmar says, quote, "One of the things that we have to do in the absence of new school builds is to add portables. The province is not able to fund at the pace of growth that we're seeing in the Souk School District," end quote. Apparently, this NDP candidate hasn't received the message guide yet, which is strange as his political staffer works just down the hallway. So why, Mr. Speaker, has the Premier consistently failed to fulfill the NDP promises to families and forced communities to resort to desperate measures like double-decker portables?
Government House Leader.
So much, Honourable Speaker, and it's interesting that they mentioned the chair of the Sault School Board. He got into politics because of the cuts that these members over here made in their government. He was a high school student who just didn't accept the cuts that were being made. He found it was unacceptable, and coming out of high school, he decided he was going to run to be on the school board to make a difference in his community, Honourable Speaker. Brand new investments in that community. In fact, I had a chance to visit some of the schools that are brand new, opening up in those communities, seeing the teachers that are being hired, Honourable Speaker. Now, the member also asked about Surrey and said I didn't answer a question, so I'll answer it this way. Sailor Secondary, brand new 1,500 seats in Surrey, open. Woodward Hill Elementary, additional 195 seats. Panorama Park, additional
Let's listen to
200
this,
seats.
please.
Brand
Members.
new Heights Secondary, additional brand new 1,500 seats. McDowell Elementary, 605 seats. Sullivan Elementary, Honourable Speaker, I'm not even halfway through the list. And that's what's already open. And Honourable Speaker, we have brand new investments that are happening to open additional seats, but not only investments in the classrooms, but investments in the teachers and the resources in the classrooms.
Member for West Vancouver, Capilano, supplemental.
Mr. Speaker, I'd just like to thank the minister for reading off the list of all of the schools started by the BC Liberal government. So results are what matter. And from Surrey to Langford, this Premier is failing miserably to provide the schools students desperately need. The crowding and proliferation of portables is forcing schools to stack students in double-decker portables. Here's more from Ravi Parmar, and I quote, "The province doesn't provide the funding at the pace we need. Happy Valley is jammed-packed. We've added as many portables as we can," end quote. Jam-packed with portables isn't exactly a great campaign slogan from the Premier's hand-picked candidate. So why, Mr. Speaker, is the Premier failing families in Surrey, the Sault School District, and right across this province, reaching a point where students are being crammed into double-decker portables?
Government House Leader.
No, I appreciate, Honourable Speaker, the opposition now not being in favour of portables. They will remember that there was a Minister of Education that sat within them, Minister Fassbender, who on record multiple times said there's nothing wrong with portables. On several occasions, Honourable Speaker. Now,
Members, it's your question period. Minister will continue.
thank you so much, Honourable Speaker. You know, I've already started a list of all the schools that we've opened. Brand new, zero capital funding, and they say they started schools, Honourable Speaker.
Members, the question was asked. Let's listen to the answer now. Members, please continue.
Honourable Speaker, I can share with the members that we have not only the 10,000 that I've already committed to, I've already said, we're also opening Tatalu Elementary School in the members' riding that asked the question. Semiahmoo Trail Elementary is getting expansion. Kwantlen Park Secondary is getting expansion. KB Woodward Elementary is getting expansion. Sinoquamish Elementary, brand new elementary school coming. Tammy Secondary is getting expansion. Guildford Park Secondary expansion. Fleetwood Park Secondary expansion. Clayton Heights Secondary is getting expansion. Forsyth Road Elementary is getting expansion. Let me catch my breath because there's more. Site secured for Darts Hill Elementary, because you know we have to buy land because the opposition sold the land to private developers. We've also secured a site for a new
Let the minister finish, please. Conclude it. Please conclude.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. We've secured sites for Dart Hill Elementary School and also sites secured for Redwood Heights Elementary. Honourable Speaker, we're making significant investments not only in our schools, not only our educators, but we're also making investments to buy land so that we can have the schools and the infrastructure that we need.
Leader of the third party.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Today in the Tyee, Katie Hislop has an article summarising the Representative for Children and Youth report on why youth are fleeing the child welfare system in this province. Hundreds of youth and children are missing every single month from the child welfare system in BC. The reality is that government creates the conditions that lead to so many children becoming lost, going missing, or disappearing from care. After the tragic death of Trayvon Desjardins Chalifoux, the minister and her ministry said that they were making changes to improve in-care services, calling the changes, quote, transformational. But we've heard this for decades. Honourable Speaker, there have been reports on the failures of BC Child's welfare system for decades. The reports have been saying the same things for decades. It doesn't matter what government's there. The protection is of the system and not of the children in that system. We have to have a government that has the courage to stand up for the children and not the system. My question, Honourable Speaker, through you, is to the Minister of Children and Families. How can the government ensure the safety and well-being of children that it is supposed to be caring for when they don't know where those children are?
Minister of Children and Family Development.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker, and thank you to the member for the question. Nothing is more important than the safety and well-being of the children and youth who are in our care. When a child or youth is missing, immediate steps are taken, Honourable Speaker. We want to make sure that they receive the same response as any caring parent. And I can tell you that our frontline staff immediately take steps to locate those children and youth and to make sure that they are kept in a safe home as well, Honourable Speaker. We have been making changes to the in-care system. We know, and the representative has reminded us, that there is a lack of a sense of belonging for children and youth who are in the care system. So we've taken steps to make sure that children and youth are connected to their family, to their community, and to their culture. We're taking steps to change the system to make sure that when children and youth, if they do have to come into care, that their needs are met and that their placement, their home and their carers are there to meet their needs, Honourable Speaker. The other thing that we have done is we have passed legislation, we have changed policy, we have taken action in order to try and keep children and youth safely with their families, Honourable Speaker, and actually prevent them coming into the care system at all, because we know that for children and youth that their outcomes are going to be so much better and children and youth will be able to thrive.
Leader of Third Party Supplemental.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. And the Minister started with the statement, that exactly the same statement that was sent to Katie Hislop in the Tyee. Nothing is more important than the safety and well-being of children and youth who are in our care. And yet, the data, the evidence, the reality for so many of these children demonstrates that that is not the outcome that is happening. Over 9 months in 2022, an average of 432 children went missing. Each month, 4 children died. The report from the Representative of Children and Youth states, quote, "A lack of action by authorities has resulted in the child welfare system continuing to function as a pipeline to child exploitation, sex trafficking, and murdered and missing Indigenous women and girls." It's time for us to stop with the talking points, to stop with the endless efforts to protect this system. The system is failing. It's built on a system that was designed to remove Indigenous children from their families. That is the foundation of this system. It continues to work in this way. There is a multi-level failure. And Honourable Speaker, I think it would be really important for every member of this House and for the public to know that for each child in care, this government budgets $135,000 per year per child. If we want to keep children with their families, let's take a significant portion of that and provide it to the families so that they can meet the needs of their children. $135,000 per child per year, a lot of that going to for-profit group homes where nobody can tell you where those children are. My question, Honourable Speaker, through you, to the Minister of Children and Families. How can she reconcile the lack of safety in government care for children and youth when safety is used to justify the reason for removing children from their parents in the first place?
Minister of Children and Family Development.
Thank you very much, Honourable Speaker, and thank you to the member for the question. When any child or youth is injured or there's a death, it's a terrible tragedy, Honourable Speaker, and my heart goes out to anybody connected with those children and youth. When a child or youth from care is missing, every step is taken to locate that child or youth and to make sure that they are in a safe home and that they have the supports and services that they need, Honourable Speaker. I appreciate the report from the representative. We're taking the recommendations very seriously and we will be responding to them very quickly and in collaboration with our staff, with partner agencies, with Indigenous service providers as well. Honourable Speaker, we have made some progress. Here in Chambers, just last November, Honourable Speaker, we passed really significant legislation to support Indigenous jurisdiction, because we know that Indigenous children and youth have been overrepresented in the system for far too long. And we're absolutely committed to changing that and to working with Indigenous nations and communities so that children and youth are able to stay connected to their family, to their community, and to their culture. We have a lot more work to do, Honourable Speaker, and I'm absolutely committed to doing it.
Member for Caribou-Chilcotin.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm glad we're talking about the safety of children today, because every day in British Columbia, parents fear their children will encounter needles in parks and playgrounds due to the Premier's reckless decision to permit the open use of dangerous drugs like crystal meth, crack cocaine, and fentanyl. What the public doesn't understand is why. Why having a beer in a public park is strictly regulated. There are no restrictions or ban on using drugs like crystal meth, crack cocaine, and fentanyl. I mean, frankly, it's absurd that we're even having this debate. Will the Premier implement a provincial ban on the public use of drugs like crystal meth, crack cocaine, and fentanyl? Yes or no?
Minister of Mental Health and Addictions.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, and thank you to the member for the question, which relates to the pilot project of decriminalization of drugs, which of course is in the context in our province of an unrelenting toxic drug crisis, which is the leading cause of unnatural death in our province. And that is why we have taken these steps and answered a call from police, from frontline care providers, from public health, from municipalities, to remove the fear and stigma for people who are dealing with problematic substance use, and to decriminalize small amounts of illicit drugs so that we are better positioned to connect those individuals to care and support. Municipalities through the UBCM have been a part of our core planning table, working with all of our partners on developing the application for exemption. They continue to be very much part of monitoring and overseeing the implementation of this. And they will work very closely, as they have been doing, with their public health officers to assess the impact of this on the ground and we will continue to work with them to respond to any concerns that may arise, as we have been doing throughout, and I'm very grateful for the collaboration of municipalities on this serious public health matter.
Member supplemental.
Well, Mr. Speaker, the minister suggested removing fear. You've created it in our communities. And that answer is not good enough for the parents that are very fearful. Let's take Campbell River as an example of what this Premier, through his total absence of leadership, is forcing municipalities to do. Municipalities that are simply trying to keep their children safe. Back in January, they passed a bylaw to provide law enforcement with the tools to address open drug use in public areas. However, confronted with provincial opposition and a lawsuit from the Premier's Pivot Legal Society, they had to repeal it. They've tried again, only to face another setback this week, to have delay again due to the intervention from this minister. Mr. Speaker, no one should have to worry about their children being exposed to drugs in parks and playgrounds and other public spaces. Why is the Premier not demonstrating any leadership and taking action at the provincial level to ban the public use of dangerous drugs like crystal meth, crack cocaine, and fentanyl?
Minister.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. And the member, with all due respect, the member has some facts quite wrong with respect to, indeed, and I'll explain. First of all, by saying that this project is one tool that was identified by the Select Standing Committee, to which all parties in this House, with the exception of the BC Conservatives, agreed to.
Members.
All parties in
Members,
this House.
no interruptions, please. Members.
In a
Thank
really
you.
sort of unprecedented understanding, nonpartisan understanding of the crisis impacting our province with respect to the toxic drug crisis. And so I'm grateful that we're at a place where we're all working together to try to turn the dial on this unrelenting crisis. But let me just say about Campbell River, because I've been to Campbell River. I've toured Campbell River. I have met with service providers. I've met with homeless people. I have met with doctors, with physicians, with nurses who work day in and day out to provide care for people who are homeless, for people who have addictions, for people who are struggling. And that work, that is profound work that is unfolding in a community on the island that has just about the highest mortality rate from this crisis of any other community on Vancouver Island. And I know that municipal council is concerned about that. I know that municipal council is working with their medical health officer. I am looking forward to meeting in person with representatives from Campbell River to talk about how we work together to engage not just the municipality but the First Nations implicated in this crisis in Campbell River as well, to try to better support the situation on the ground. But that council knows full well that they are working with their medical health officer under the law, under the Public Health Act, which requires municipalities to work with their medical health officers on matters of public health. That's what they're doing. We're working through a process, and we'll continue to do that work with them.
Member for Kamloops North Thompson.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I think it's very important. The minister wants accuracy. Let's get some actual accuracy going on this. On page 48 of the all-committee report, it says very clearly, they, as in all of the committee, they agreed that there must, not may, must be consideration of local needs and circumstances during the implementation of decriminalization. In this regard, members supported continuing consultation and support for municipalities. The simple fact is that support doesn't exist. The consultation hasn't existed to the level municipalities want. We're getting continued mixed messages from this government. This minister says it's health related, it has to have approval through health boards. The Minister of Municipal Affairs says, and I quote, local governments are elected by their constituents and their community. They know what is best for their communities. End quote. We can't get a straight answer out of this government. And they keep talking about everything other than open drug use in parks and playgrounds on things like crack and fentanyl and heroin. What the public wants, what mayors in Kelowna, New Westminster, other mayors and council around this province, is a simple province-wide ban around parks and playgrounds. And this government is refusing to allow that to happen. Parents simply want their 8-year-old to go play on a slide without needing the 8-year-old to be the drug intervention prevention officer or someone ODing with open drug use around that slide. That's what they want. They understand that Crab Park will not be enforced, that the tent encampment there will still see drug use in that park, but they want the tool to be able to try to enforce and move people along, help them get treatment when they are causing a problem around slides, around swings, around water parks. So when will this soft on crime premier listen to the communities instead of the Pivot Legal Society, actually bring in a province-wide ban on the open use of fentanyl, crack, heroin, and other hard drugs around our kids' playgrounds and beaches?
Minister.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, and thank you to the member for the question. I would suggest, though, that the confusion perhaps is on that side of the House. The confusion is not at not with municipalities. Municipalities understand full well what their obligations are under the Public Health Act, and they routinely engage with health authorities and public health officials on with respect to public health matters. This is no different, and there is nothing in decriminalization that restricts the tools that municipalities have. And in fact, we are having ongoing discussions with municipalities in that regard. You know, the member raised the issue with respect to the Health Canada requirements for the decriminalization pilot project. And I will just note that Health Canada approved the exemption based on the submission that was made and approved this pilot project. Having reviewed all of the actions that have been taken under all of the points, all of the requirements that they placed. So in regard to alternative measures and being able to direct individuals to health and social services supports, we have those supports in place. We have staff in place in order to direct and support individuals access healthcare support.
Let the minister.
We have ongoing consultation.
Let the minister conclude, please.
We have ongoing consultation, Honourable Speaker, with all of our partners, including municipalities. We have an unprecedented $1 billion investment in this budget, which follows on unprecedented investments in mental health and substance use in previous budgets to build out our system of treatment and care. And I could go on and on and on, and would be happy to review that list with members. But more importantly, Honourable Speaker, I think this is a time when we have an unrelenting crisis that impacts our communities in so many different and complicated ways that we need to work together. We really need to work together to change the dial on this issue, Honourable Speaker.
The bell ends the question period.